Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beatles Forever. We all know how great the Beatles wrote and performed their own music, but in the beginning, the Beatles performed a number of cover songs. Why did the Beatles do cover songs? Well, according to faroutmagazine.co.uk, sometimes these tracks were essential for the band to develop their own sound by imitating their idols, and then much later, playing old rock and roll tunes helped the band connect with their roots as they were trying to strip back their sound during the Get Back sessions. And this makes a lot of sense. The Beatles used the songs from their idols to develop their own music, and later those songs brought them back to the early days, and watching them perform the music of years ago, you could tell that they were having a blast. So here are 10 songs that the Fab Four did a great job on. First up is Boys. Well, this song was originally recorded by the Shirelles, and it was the B-side of the song Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow. This group is a favorite of John Lennon. The band had Pete Best sing it when he was their drummer, and then Ringo took the song over when he joined the Beatles. And this song appeared on their album, Please Please Me. According to Wikipedia, the Beatles did not concern themselves about the possible homosexual undertones that go with singing a song about boys, although they altered the gender pronouns employed on the Shirelles version, My Girl Says When I Kiss Her Lips. In an October 2005 Rolling Stone interview, Paul McCartney stated, any one of us could hold the audience. Ringo would do Boys, which was a fan favorite with the crowd, and it was great. Though if you think about it, here's us doing a song, and it was really a girl song, and I talk about boys now, or it was a gay song, but we never even listened. It was just a great song. I think that's one of the things about youth. You don't give a blank, and I love the innocence of those days. McCartney also said, Ringo always used to do a song in the show. Back then he had Boys. It was a little embarrassing because it went, I'm talking about boys, yeah, boys. And it was a Shirelles hit, and there were girls singing it. But we never thought we should call it Girls just because Ringo was a boy. We just sang it the way they sung it and never considered any implications. So Paul McCartney said that from the anthology. The funny thing is, Ringo was in the group Roy Storm and the Hurricanes, and he sang this song as his solo, too. I can see why Ringo loved to sing the song. It really rocks, and Ringo sings the song with power, and his drumming is really out front and rock and rolling. And I love how he plays the drums in the song, and the Beatles do the background vocals with gusto. I think they all have fun doing this one. Next up is Honey Don't. Some great songs ended up on the B-side of the 45s, and this song is no exception. Honey Don't was the B-side of Carl Perkins' Blue Suede Shoes. George Harrison was a big fan of Carl's, and George Harrison also had used the stage name Carl Harrison in his tribute to Perkins when the Silver Beatles had toured Scotland with Johnny Gentle. Both George and Paul kept in touch with Carl through the years. Usually John Lennon performed the song live, but on the album Beatles for Sale, Ringo did the song. I love how Ringo talks at different parts of the song right before George does his guitar riffs. Rock on, George, one time for me, and then rock on, George, for Ringo, one time. I love the rockabilly sound, and George is playing great parts with his electric guitar. Ringo's into the song, and his brush regular drum beat add to the sound. It's a really great song to dance to, and the Beatles did a great job with this one. Crying, Waiting, Hoping. This is a song done by Buddy Holly originally. The Beatles never released the song, but it was on the Live from the BBC album, and they performed the song at nightclubs. George Harrison did the lead vocals and lead guitar. And I love this the version by Buddy Holly, and I love the Beatles version too. And George did a good version with this song, and the guitar riffs and the harmonies of Paul and John. They did a great rendition. All right, Act Naturally. This song was on the second side of the Help album. I sang Act Naturally in Help. I found it on a Buck Owens record, and I said, this is the one I'm going to be doing. And they said, okay, we're listening to all kinds of things, Ringo Starr said on Anthology. The arrangement was simple, and it varied only slightly from the original. Paul McCartney sang the backing vocals, and George Harrison performed some suitably country and western lead guitar licks. Ringo, of course, has the love for country music, and his personality really shines in this song. I love that the Beatles went country on this one, and the simple drumming on the rim of the snare, and George's guitar playing is great as always. And Paul does a good job backing up Ringo. They did a version just as good as Buck Owens. According to Songfacts.com, it was one of the few songs where the drummer Ringo Starr, and a fan of country music, sang lead, and it became his showcase song, and they played it on their third live Ed Sullivan Show appearance to give Ringo a chance to sing on the show. Their rendition was included on their album Help, and also used as a B-side to their hit. And this was the song Yesterday. Next up, How Do You Do It? This was a song George Martin was trying to get the Beatles to release when they were just starting out. The Beatles really didn't like the song and didn't want that song to represent how people thought of them, because it was kind of a light pop song. And George Martin, to release Please Please Me instead. It was said that they didn't put much effort into the song, but wanted to work on Love Me Do instead. Later, the song was given to Jerry and the Pacemakers, and this was their first song they debuted, and it was on the top of the British singles charts for 3 weeks. The Beatles may not have liked this song, but they sang it great. The harmonies are fantastic, and John sang it well, and George even had an electric guitar solo with his great skills, and Ringo kept the song grooving with the drum beats. Twist and Shout. This song was originally done by the Top Notes, and it's an R&B song back in 1961. John always felt like it was a song with black origins, and he said he couldn't do the song justice. The song was a big hit for the Beatles. They did 12 takes of the song, saving that song to be recorded last because George Martin knew it was going to wreck John's voice. And John said later that his throat felt like sandpaper. But this song, John left it out all on the floor. This is a rock and rolling song, and Paul and George give the background vocals as much as John gave the lead vocal. The energy in that room that day must have been tremendous, and this song was on the Please Please Me album. Next we have Slow Down. This song was written and performed by Larry Williams, and the Beatles had been performing this song from 1960 to 1962. This song reminds me of Twist and Shout. There's a lot of raw emotion, and this song appears on the Live at the BBC. Slow Down is an early rock and rolling song. I love the guitar riffs and Ringo's cymbal work. John is singing with force and confidence, and their screams, which I'm sure made their throat feel funny. And George is playing great leads. I don't hear any backing vocals, but John has enough talent to carry the song with his lead vocals only. Now we have Devil in Her Heart. When I first heard the song, I really wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but the more I listened, the more I liked it. Sometimes when there's devils in the title, I'd rather stay away, but this song is a good one, though. The song was done first by a group called the Donnays, and a girl sang the lead, and it was called A Devil in His Heart. So this song was on the album with the Beatles, and George Harrison sang the lead. The Beatles discovered the song through Brian Epstein's NEMS store. And George Harrison said from Anthology that Brian had a policy of buying at least one copy of every record that was released. If it sold, he'd order another one, or 5, or whatever. Consequently, he had records that weren't hits in Britain, weren't even hits in America. Before going to a gig, we'd meet in the record store after it had shut, and we'd search the racks like ferrets to see what new ones were there. Devil in Her Heart and Barrett Strong's Money were records that we picked up and played in the shop and thought were interesting. So Devil in Her Heart was the final girl group song recorded by the Beatles, and their own songwriting matured soon after, and a Hard Day's Night album would contain only Lennon and McCartney originals. From then on, the Beatles covered songs written by others. They tended to be rock and roll favorites from their live shows. This song is catchy from the beginning. Ringo is given a solid drum beat and doing the maracas too, and George's voice sounds stronger than usual. It's a double vocal, so it shows that they were experimenting a little back then, too. And John and Paul provide good harmonies. It's a cool song. This is a Motown song by the Marvelettes. I love their version, and the Beatles created a version that stands on its own. I like how the song begins with urgency by saying, wait, several times, and then John Lennon sings the lead, and it gives it feeling as usual. And this song puts more emotion in it than the original song did. John had that perfect rock and roll voice, and they created a great song with their interpretation of it. Last but not least, Nothing Shaken. This song was released originally by Eddie Fontaine, and the version by the Beatles is on the Live at the BBC album. George Harrison is doing the vocals, and it's cool to hear this one done live, and the Beatles did a great job with it. It was a bopping song, and it has that rockabilly feel. Ringo's crushing it with his drumming, and George is playing it well on his electric guitar. This feels like a song with just Ringo and George. I can't really hear John's acoustic guitar or the bass by Paul. I thought George's singing didn't get better until the later recordings, but he's been doing a fine job on these covers that we've been hearing about through this list of songs. So it's a great job, George. So it's cool to hear songs that the Beatles listened to and loved, and to hear them performing them shows their talent and how it led them to grow as an artist and create songs that were equal and at times surpassed the original. And I hope everybody's been having a good day. And if you like the video, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. And I wish everybody a good day, and tune in again soon for another episode of the Beatles Forever. Thank you. Bye.